So in 2025, this means that Monster Hunter World is over 7 years old now, releasing back in 2018. So it has been a while and I had yet to play it, so after checking it out this week, let's see if it's still worth playing today, but I will be focusing more on a solo playthrough rather than multiplayer, though I have heard that the servers are very much alive and well to this day, and you shouldn't really struggle getting a server. I mean, even just the popularity of the game as a whole after the new game came out, this one is still fairly big and has a huge community attached to it. And if you don't have a clue what the game is about, which was like me beforehand, you get to play as the hunter who's been placed onto a new continent, not fully by himself, as you get to choose and customize your own feline, which is basically a cat-like companion called Palico, who will be with you along the way. Of course, it's not the only, form of wildlife you'll meet, as some are also like your Palico, where they're friendly and they don't attack, but the majority of the ones you do come across during your exploration and the missions are the actual monsters themselves ready to attack you. And it's your job to basically track them down first of all, and then either capture or take them down fully. Now that's like the ultimate goal, but it's way more than that, and as I said, there's tons of other creatures that will stop your path and you'll meet before you even see the main beast. And just the fun of it is really just exploring these huge locations that you're placed into and going through slowly as you become stronger by crafting and upgrading as you try to hunt down these creatures. And I must say, even in your very early missions, it does take a while until you kill your first monster, so it definitely felt rewarding after I did it, like straight away, because it takes a while to find them first of all, and then you can easily get distracted by either other creatures or simply just traversing and parkouring around the world, which is fun to do, especially as the game looks great visually, which I'll get onto. But also, when you do find them, they can escape easily and it turns into a wild goose chase. And then when you actually fight them, there's still a lot of patience and fighting involved in that. So it was definitely satisfying afterwards, because it didn't feel so simple and quick to do. And that is the main premise of the game, so it's clear that they put a lot of effort into it, which is another reason as to why there's still a big community. It's because you can sink so many hours into it, just simply exploring, and it has great replayability. And then just in terms of the gameplay mechanics and their feeling, each weapon does differ from each other. This could be the speed of it or the range, for example. Like the dual blades, they're quite quick, and some can be, short ranged, but you can use them to just spam attack. There's sword weapons, which have a lot of range to them, and power, which are more for like swinging, attacking. It does depend on your fighting style and how you use it, but there's for sure something for everyone in terms of the gameplay. I did quite like the more agile weapons, I must say. And then there's the main hub area of the game called, I think it's Astera, where you can upgrade your loadout, like weapons and armor, or just buy general supplies and then load into your next mission to choose. There's also a canteen area which gives you various boosts to your gameplay. It's quite a nice area, just filled with NPCs and different characters to talk to, and they all provide something. Although it's just somewhere between the main action, you can spend a good amount of time just in this location with the amount of things they do offer. And of course the visuals of not only the hub but the game as a whole is amazing. Just the diversity in the settings and their landscapes, just the sheer detail in like the jungle areas, no matter where you are in them. It's such a perfectly crafted layout with deeper areas that have almost no light coming through, and then in a way they're quite like cozy, I guess. And then the really high up places you can get up to with the parkour, but the lighting just brings it to life, and I was quite surprised as I hadn't seen any gameplay before jumping into it, from what I remember, so I didn't really know if it was only going to focus on combat, for example, but they actually took time on the visuals just as much, and wherever you look is mesmerising. And as I said, you can get up to higher places or just traverse around quicker with either sliding or swinging from vines, but also integrating the environment when fighting and hunting, so they can become stuck in the vines or hit by boulders, for example. That's if you do it right. And just the environment and the world building is probably my favourite part of the game. And then there's the monsters themselves, as in their unique design, but also how well the AI is for a 7-year-old game. They aren't basic, let's say that. so many different movements and unpredictable moments, which you won't always see coming, and that's why the combat, which you could say is the main part of the game, even if you use, let's say, the same move over and over, it still probably won't feel repetitive, as the monster itself will make it exciting with the way each one has a different fighting style. Just one of the best games in terms of the way they built the enemy types. Now this does also mean that enemies do build up their difficulty and become stronger and, you know, start to do a bit more. It also makes them way more aggressive and harder to take down. It makes sense, I definitely saw it coming. It adds on to that replayability just because not every fight is going to be straightforward. You may even come back later when you're more prepared or play with others to help you. It just makes the whole progress of the game a bit slower, but in a good way. As in, you take your time building your character up and then exploring, and many people do enjoy that. So as I mentioned, again, you can sink so many hours into the game in a casual way or just grinding through it for anyone that does like that. The storyline itself is straightforward and it serves its purpose. Basically, you're a member of the 5th Fleet and they're a group of hunters all investigating a mysterious monster and where they actually are like located and where they migrate. It's enough to keep you engaged, but I personally didn't find it anything crazy. It for sure won't overshadow like the core gameplay, at least for me it didn't. And also your character is mostly silent, so already the narrative won't be too in depth. Like that's what I thought of. You know, not always. I know there's some great stories with mute protagonists, but it did seem like they wanted to focus on the overall hunting of the game more than anything, which was obvious. As for the actual performance of the game, I did have to take down my graphics settings a bit more than usual, and before I did that, when it wasn't on max or anything, I was noticing some big frame drops. But then after doing some tweaking and, you know, the game ran fairly consistent throughout it all, I thought I'd just mention that, as you know, my PC isn't that dated, so for anyone that has a lower one, it'll be something to consider. So yeah, I definitely recommend playing this game in 2025. Again, it did surprise me because there's just so much to it, and it's more just, again, like, it's up to you and how much you want to put into the game and the way you go about it. And then that's how fun it can get, and that's the most fun you can get out of it. It's just based on your sort of play style and how you want to either slowly go through the game or just speed run it. But it's mainly just, my favourite part is definitely the world itself and the world building, and also just like the exploration as well. And this is just on the solo experience, and I think a lot of people that play the game would say the multiplayer is even better. Of course, having others to help you, and imagine going out, you know, trying to hunt down these monsters with a group of like 4 people. So if you did enjoy this video, then let me know by tapping that like button down below. And if you enjoy single player and also multiplayer games as well, then that's what this channel does focus on. I have many playlists on a selection of games, and if you want to support me any further, then you can become a member of the channel at either level 1 or 2 to gain access to various perks. Thank you all for the support and watching until the very end. And that was Monster Hunter World in 2025, and bye bye.